All right, how's it going out there? Is it going good? Hello, everybody.
Great.
Yay. All right. I hope all of you are doing well and that the storms didn't cause too much of an issue. I imagine that for a lot of people, it still has. It also says that my internet connection is unstable. Can everybody hear me? Is it pretty consistent?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, every time it says that, I'll have to ask that to sort of make sure everything is good. A little choppy. Okay. That's just something I'm gonna have to deal with. Yeah, that's a school thing, probably more so than my laptop at any rate. Yeah, so obviously not having class on Wednesday kind of put a damper on things. Maybe for some of you that was a breather, a little bit of some kind. But for me, it was a bit of a hassle, obviously, because we have to cram a lot of stuff in over the next couple days, I think. So what I wanted to do today was basically cover the stuff that I wanted to do on Wednesday, but obviously we didn't have class. And I'm going to take the stuff that we were supposed to do today and just shove that together with some of the other stuff that we're doing next week. I think that's the best way to go about things. So you have an assignment that I was going to put up on Wednesday, but we didn't have class, and so I didn't see any reason in doing that. Also, I lost power for a bit there, a couple days in a row, and so that kind of made like working on things a little bit difficult. But all the same, I've put up that assignment now. That is due on Saturday. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But what I want to talk about right now, sorry, I'm a little out of breath. I had to run here from my other class and then had to, yeah, I'm a bit out of sorts at the moment. So going to our modules page on Canvas, I have a bunch of things that I've put up there. So I have the assignments that I was speaking of. So we're going to talk about, some of this stuff in class today. A lot of these things are going to be pretty easy probably for you to do, but it's still an important part of like the sort of pre-writing process, the information gathering stage, the researching stage. That's what I want you to focus on for this week, basically. So that's why this is due on Saturday. So I want to know, what's your group? What's the cultural political issue they're demonstrably involved in? What are potential contacts for the group? Who can you get in touch with? Do they have a website or social media presence? How frequently is it updated? Are there any events that you could attend? What actions do they take regarding the issue? Are there any testimonials or stories from those who are helped by their actions? Additionally, scanning through their online materials, in whatever form they are, do they state any explicit values that they have? And also following on from that, what do you think their values are beyond those explicit ones? So just you reading between the lines and doing your research, what do you think their sort of core value is? That's what I want you to do for the Unit 3 assignment. So don't just think about those explicit values. Those are nice, those are worth talking about, but is there more that you can say? Can you dig deeper than that? That's what I'm interested in. So this should be a relatively easy assignment, I think, to turn in tomorrow. And it will give you a pretty good sense of what your breadth of evidence is, more or less. I need to take a drink of water. Okay. So in addition to this, there's also something else that I put up on Canvas. The online class survey link. It's a link to a survey that I just made up. basically asking about online classes because over these last couple class periods, among all of my classes, I've had 6 people total show up to them. And so I was trying to gauge, you know, how everybody was doing, what people were really wanting out of the class, if I should still like come in here on the Mondays and Fridays and not just have class, you know, via Zoom exclusively. There are still people that come to the classes, that's fine. And if you don't need to feel guilty about it because I've given you this option to attend just via Zoom. But I was wondering if nobody wanted to come to my classes, it would probably be better if I just also did not. And that way I could save myself the trip. All the same, if you want to come to class, do it. But there are also other things here. So like, what's your experience been with online classes, just like across campus? How would you rate like this stuff that we're doing online? Would you like more or less online sections for yourself next semester, given the option? So please answer this. This information is really important to me, and I take it under consideration when I'm not just like during this semester, because like I do take it into consideration now, but also when I'm making classes for instance next semester when I'm planning that kind of thing. This is the first time I've had to do a hybrid schedule, and so I was wondering how people felt about that. All right, so that's that. And now we can get into like the bulk of what I wanted to talk about today. So is this the right one? Yeah. Ooh. Okay, so there's also a link here called the Unit 3 Organization Research Example. And that's a doc on Google, which I will open up. And what I'm going to do, what I wanted to do is sort of demonstrate how I do research for a topic like this, for a paper like this. I wanted to sort of demonstrate some of the first steps that I sort of undertake whenever I'm doing, you know, research, whenever I want to like get stuff together, because it can be a little bit daunting to do research as a freshman. You kind of don't necessarily know where to go or what is quite important yet. You're kind of just like dipping your toes in the water with the subject whenever you're kind of looking around at stuff. And it can feel like such a big task, in fact, that you keep putting it off until the last minute, until like there's so much stress and time crunch pile upon you that you can't help but like have to do it. But I wanted to show today that you can actually do this process, you know, fairly quickly from the outset. And as it turns out, it's a really necessary thing that you're going to need to do in order to do your paper. Whether you like it or not, you're going to have to find multiple sources and find quotes from them and juggle all of these, you know, citations with one another. So having a sort of research document enables you to keep all of that information in one place, such that it's something that you can come back to again and again to retrieve, for instance, quotes from for your own draft. It's where you can keep, you know, contact information. It's where you can keep citations, maybe sources that you don't end up using in your paper, but are still useful in certain ways as part of like a bibliography. So yeah, I just wanted to show how easy that is. And so to that end, what I would like to do is leave it up to you guys. So give me an organization that I could probably find information about online.
GSA.
What is that, GSN?
GSA, Gay Straight Alliance.
Okay. Let's see, let's see. All right, let's start off with that. I think Also, Ashley says BLM or Black Lives Matter. I think that's like a huge thing. Is there like a chapter of that on campus? I'll actually, let's see. Yeah, there's kind of a lot of statements about it, but do we have one? Okay, so yeah, there's an OU GSA. Oh, that's Oakland University. That's not what I want. Oakland University. University of Oklahoma. I don't know that we necessarily have one. But there's certainly the Gender Inequality Center. Yeah, is there another sort of group that might be more visible or specific? Any other examples that we can go over? ROTC? That's kind of like, well, tell me, what's the social or political issue that they're involved in? And would you call that so much a club? Or is it what kind of organization is it? The Fine Arts Diversity Council? Yeah, I think that should be sufficient. And yeah, Will is in it. So yeah, it's something that you probably don't want to use for your subject, but yeah. Oh, that's at Austin. Oh yeah, I just kind of looked that up, didn't I? Yeah. We got the student-run OU Fine Arts Diversity Council. Yeah, let's do that. And this is a good one because it might be a little bit difficult. That's the subject. Okay. And just thinking about them for a second, you know, what values might they have? Just from the outset and like what it sounds like they're about, let's say. What are some values associated with wanting to promote diversity in the fine arts? And what would you say, Will?
Would it be a focus on equality?
I think that could be quite possible. Inclusion, yeah, just pulling people in, getting them involved, not excluding, but including.
Is there possibly opportunity?
If that's not a value, then it'll lead to some, I think. Yeah. Any others? And we're just spitballing here. We're not like, this isn't like super in depth, just like anything like word association, something that comes into your brain. We can get more in depth later, but are there any more? Give me one more. Creativity. Okay. Yeah. So creativity and exploration. So like what they are involved in, or like the field itself lends it values as well. Nice. So it appears as though like the main like sort of page for this is their Facebook page basically. And so that's going to offer us, you know, the most probably salient stuff. So I'm gonna take that information down. Let's see. This is clearly, well, there's information here that's a little old, obviously, such as the acting officers here. But in this like short bio, we obviously want to take that down. And we can say the biographical information in the sidebar on 1030 when we access it, because it might change in the future by the time like we end up writing this. But it's good to have that information down now. And I didn't exactly read all of it. I can do that later. That's totally fine. But we can still, like when you're just starting off doing like preliminary stuff, just start copying and pasting stuff that looks important, basically. That's what you should be doing for the most part. Like you can get back through that stuff later, but in this initial, like just finding stuff phase, copying and pasting lots of things is good. IMO. All right, so let's look at there. There's a whole panel from a year ago. That's something that I want. That's primary research again. A panel about what? Race and gender and casting panel. There you go. So that's information as part of their videos. Obviously, like this stuff.
Hi everyone, my name is Steve.
There might be information in that video as well, but I think that's good enough at the moment. Let's go through their photos, some albums from their timeline. Slip through them. They have a picnic that already occurred. Damn it. But it looked delicious. September events, apply to be a vice chair. Earlier on, they're having Zoom meetings. Information about happenings. Yeah. Old stuff. So let's see what else. About reviews, 5 out of 5. Okay, so as it happens, there's only so much that's available on their Facebook page. And it may be that in going back through here, through their timeline, we might find more things. But I think what you're going to find most of, or what you're going to probably need, I would say, is to get in touch with them. And if it's a student-run organization that's updated relatively frequently and recently, i.e. something that's probably been updated in like the last, I don't know, 3 months or so, that's probably a group that still exists. Get in touch with them. Contact their Facebook page, message them. It's going to be probably crucial. So there is some information here, but I'm wondering if there's another presence that they might have. Facebook, they have an Instagram. OU Daily. There you go. OU Fine Arts News, a bunch of sources. Okay, so this helps. There might be stuff here as well. So that's their Instagram. let's say, let's go back up here. You could also contact them via Instagram. There's a Netflix watch party. What's happening? They gotta have us October 24th. Ooh, that just happened. Darn. So yeah, they had a watch party event. So things are happening. All right, so all of this so far is primary source information that I can gather pretty easily. Most of their stuff is gonna obviously be happening in person. There's a lot of like movie nights and stuff like that that I saw. Clearly they talk to one another, you know, quite a bit. And so attending some sort of meeting, it doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility, especially if like you like go to them or message them saying you want to get involved in some way, which you do. One of the criteria for this prompt, for the Unit 3 prompt rather, is that it's a group that you would want to join, you know, during any normal circumstance. And so join your groups basically, and you'll likely get a lot out of it. It'll give you something to talk about, especially because I think for this one, most of your information is going to ultimately come from a lot of that in-person, a lot of that field working research that you do, a lot of interviewing with open and closed questions. And then also in doing and discussing things. I think that's probably what this group does a bit. They also addressed controversy. So if I go back here, for instance, here's a message from the Student Government Association. That's not something they talked about, but they promoted it. You could talk about this particular event that happened. Yeah, talked about the racist slur and the phrase "okay, boomer" and equivocating them. That is something that happened. Here, let me just copy and paste that. It's just some information, and this is just like sort of shorthand for stuff. But as you can see, like there's not a whole lot, you know, on there per se. Still, some things here that we could get a look at. We're also going to want to look at secondary sources. So here's an article, in fact, about the OU Fine Arts Diversity Council. It's a mission statement. So that is absolutely going to be something that we use in our papers, more than likely. And it's okay that the formatting is not perfect in just like this note, because like you're just pulling material together. No, I'm not even caring like about it. Let's see. Student Liaison, Fine Arts Diversity Council. Okay, so maybe that's something. All right, so, oops, let's see. What we also might want to do is look at other information as well. So we might want to find out information about the particular issue. And so some of that stuff might in fact come from, for instance, looking up this particular incident and like talking about that a little bit in your paper, since it's something that they are responding to. They're sort of reposting this a letter from the Student Government Association president at the time. But yeah, I think for this group, most of your stuff is going to be done, you know, in person together with them. A lot of that is obviously not going to be able to be done, you know, a lot of the primary research. I think we kind of exhausted that more or less. I think that panel that I've found is probably going to be able to say, you know, quite a lot. But still, I think most of it's going to be found, you know, in person rather than online. But let's say, look up the issue. Diversity in the fine arts, you know, a pretty broad topic. Yeah, there's kind of not something specific. I might need to like fine tune this. Lack of diversity in fine arts programs. Bam. Maybe that's, I guarantee you somebody's some sort of research about this, but yeah, a lot of this stuff is not going to be suitable, I think. Demographic diversity, GI arts. So a few. Here's an article, arts management workforce. Ooh, I don't know about that. Maybe. Qualtrics, I don't think that's good. So yeah, you might find articles like this that give you a sense of what the issue is and the sort of what they feel like the urgency might be. Okay, yeah, so this, like, just scanning through it, these look like good articles. So articles that establish, you know, the exigence a little bit. These are, at least this one is a personal anecdote of the author doing ballet, for instance, and not being made to not fit in, I guess. So yeah, I think this is, you know, more or less sufficient in terms of research per se. We have a few links. We have like pretty much exhausted their Facebook page for information. I'm pretty sure we'll find similar things on Instagram. We found like a photo of them sort of reposting the Student Association president talking about the racist incident this February, or was it last February? I can't remember. So those are good primary sources. We also found, you know, a few things insofar as secondary sources goes. So like an article about the Fine Arts Diversity Council themselves, as well as, you know, some articles about diversity in the fine arts and the sort of exigence that poses. So I think with 3 secondary sources, that to me is sufficient for your paper. I think that there is some stuff that you can say about the group with just these primary sources, but in the end, I think that you're going to find most of that through actually, you know, going to a meeting, getting in touch with them. I've done examples for other classes as well, and I can put the links up to those too. Let me find it. So yeah, I think for that particular group, that's pretty much what we have more or less. Let's see, which class was it? This one. Yeah. So I'll put that there as well. I'll put the link to this other group. additionally. One second, I just need to put that in there. There we go. So there is the second example now, and I can share this. So yeah, it's about Camp Kesem. And Camp Kesem is about, it's a camp that provides summer camp programs to children of parents who have cancer. Not the children that have cancer, but rather the parents, for, among other things, like to take like some of the burden off of the parents in like this very hard time, but also provide a space for children to work out, you know, these complex feelings and like a lot of fears that they might have too. It's very clear to me that there's a sort of like social or political issue that this is like sort of facing or like involved with this group. But this group has a much more robust online presence. They have this is a national organization. It has a specific OU chapter, but it's got all of this other information that we can talk about too. It's got a page about their values, for instance. And so not everything is going to be as clear cut as this, but every organization pretty much has a mission statement. Even the OU Fine Arts and Diversity Council did as well. They have it right there. Celebrating our family and coming together to inspire lasting change. So I think actually, if we go back here, family, but split this up a little bit, or rather define this more. Yeah, going back to Camp Kesem, there's some values: charity, community caring, compassion, empathy, yada yada. I looked through their front page. They have corporate sponsors and what's their About Us page. They have values there explicitly. I went to their, they have a Facebook page, in fact, for the OU chapter. So let me just copy and paste this portion. Does that work? Yeah. So I can do the same stuff here, as a matter of fact. I can go back through all of their stuff and find things. I can look at their bio here. I can also go to this link, which is broken, as is the case very often with stuff that's not updated, you know, all that well. Where did everything go? There's too many tabs. I'm losing my mind. So Oklahoma. There we go. Camp Kesem at University of Oklahoma. So I've got contact information, specific contact information for this chapter, which I included here. So I go down through all of this primary information, and take down their contact information. I also found a couple other people that you might want to get in touch with if you had this group, for instance, as well as like recorded their Instagram and Facebook pages. You know, you can also reach people through that as well. I found some secondary research about the group. So there was an article in OU Daily. There's an interview that was had, or that was like administered by like a news organization, like daytime news or something. Somebody wrote an article about them online, and here's a particular passage from it that I thought might be interesting to look at. Kesem means magic in Hebrew, bringing magic into these kids' lives, yada, yada, yada. But beyond that, I also looked at other secondary sources too. So yeah, more articles. So for instance, the effects of parental cancer on children, children facing parental cancer versus parental death, the burden or the buffering effects of positive parenting and emotional expression, so on and so forth. Here's an article, like in that same OU Daily article, they talk about the empowerment ceremony is the only time to address cancer directly, but it's not a crying fest. And so that might be something I want to ask more about. I kind of don't know, like I can guess at what that might mean, but I don't quite know. And so maybe that's something that I turn into one of my interview questions later. And so basically, like for Camp Kesem, I could almost do my entire paper just based off of this stuff alone. Like I almost don't even need to interview anybody because of all of this information that I have, all of these primary sources. Like they have a YouTube page for just the OU chapter, as a matter of fact. So what I would suggest is that unless a group is really, really reachable, let's say, I would suggest finding a group that has a really, really robust online presence, kind of like Camp Kesem, as a matter of fact, because that is going to be the stuff that you need if you can't get an interview. If you can do both of those at the same time, then you have a wealth of information. And so it's not going to be a case of you struggling to find information. You're probably going to be struggling to figure out what you need to leave out in that circumstance. So I hope that I sort of exemplified, you know, in a sort of short form, how you can like run through and do preliminary research about things. And I think both with the OU Fine Arts Diversity Council and with the Camp Kesem examples, I think that those will give you a sense of what you might need to have, you know, at the very beginning of, you know, this sort of project. And you might have noticed I didn't really look at any of the sources like super in depth. That's going to be for later, but I'm just like wandering around and seeing what was there first and foremost. I was going through and taking down sources and finding particular pages and locations where I can like do more research. So that's what you're going to need to do. And obviously, if you can copy and paste a lot of stuff into a document and take down where it is, that's going to make it super easy to put that stuff in your paper later and then also cite it. So I highly recommend you like have some sort of research document that sort of looks like this. They're not formatted in any particular way because, as I said, these are basically just notes for yourself. But obviously, if you want to organize it better than I have, like feel free to do so. This is pretty much what my research documents tend to look like whenever I'm, you know, gathering stuff together in the beginning stages. Although I don't really have like super tight deadlines like students do anymore. But yeah, are there any questions about this? No questions? Wow. Okay. So we sort of got through that, you know, relatively quickly. And, you know, it like, it all depends on what the group is and, you know, how much is there for me to like sort of run through it. So what can we do now? Yeah, I can leave you time for the rest of class to either ask me questions and I can respond, you know, via chat if you would like. I want to give you time to work on these projects, work on these Unit 3 projects rather. And I want to give you time to work on that assignment specifically that's due tomorrow. So please take the rest of class to do those. I will be here if any of you have questions. Okay, so we're more or less out of time now. If you have any more questions, I'll be here, after class for a little bit until everybody clears out. Or you could send me, emails and stuff like that. I'll be answering those. But I hope that you're really able to get started in earnest on your Unit 3 project, because next week you're going to have to turn in your outline, and that won't be due on Wednesday, of course. It'll be due, later on, but it will be due. And so, yeah, I highly suggest you begin working on that stuff, getting down that information, and yeah, hypothesizing what values might be there. And definitely, if you haven't yet, get in touch with people, and hopefully this sort of research example shows you how you might go about finding that stuff. So with both of these samples together, I hope you're really able to pull together material. Like I said, it doesn't take very long to do that. Obviously, I could have read through those sources more, but I'm just pulling stuff together right now, and that's kind of what you want to do at this moment. So yeah, I hope all of you have a good weekend, and I will see you next week. Don't forget to do that survey also. And did you have any questions, Will or Ashley? Have a good one, Tristan. All right, going once, going twice. All right, I guess.
Sorry, Paul. My roommate came in and he just needed to talk to me for a second.
Oh,
But
that works.
yeah.
Did you have any questions?
So I have the contact for so the organization that I'm researching LoveWorks. You have the contact information for most of the people that work there. So I don't know who to contact per se, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I can contact the executive director or the social media manager or the operations manager. I don't know
So what's the organization again?
LoveWorks Leadership.
LoveWorks Leadership.
It's an organization about education and extracurricular stuff for middle schoolers and elementary schoolers.
Okay. So let's see. It says on Facebook, because I'm just looking on Facebook at them. They usually respond within a few hours, it says. So you can message them on Facebook. There's also a contact email listed there, michael@loveworksleadership.org. And
Yeah,
so maybe that's the one you want to get in touch with, since that's the public facing one that they have there for any questions or inquiries.
Yeah, okay.
So I would say that one.
All right. Well, thank you, Professor.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend, all right?
You too.